I consider it self-preservation. We oftentimes feel like we don't have the time, that it's not available to us, that we don't deserve to do it, that it creates guilt. But the problem is that we're humans and we need to find the time to course correct, especially when we're walking into or out of stressful moments. Everyone feels like they need a half hour, they need an hour, they need to leave to go somewhere, or have a special place or a special setup. You just need 5 minutes. So if you're parking your car at work, park far away and take that extra 2-3 minutes to not be on your phone, put everything in your bag, in your pocket, and simply just walk. Just walk and breathe. And take that moment, because it's small moments like that that we need throughout the day. And these are things that you're already doing. You don't have to add something new to your day.
Did you know that in 2020, there were 53 million caregivers in the United States? And by 2025, this number is expected to grow to 62.5 million. 73% of these caregivers also have a job. They are called working caregivers. And they are invisible because they don't talk about their caregiving challenges. Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employees, is a podcast that will show you how to support working caregivers. Join Selma Archer and Zach Demopoulos on the Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employees podcast as they show you how to support working caregivers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever and whenever you're calling from. We thank you for checking in on the Working Caregiver, the Invisible Employee podcast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Selma.
What's up, Selma?
How you doing, partner?
I'm doing great. I mean, I know you're sitting in 100-degree weather, but we finally saw spring here in New Jersey, and I'm actually wearing shorts. You just can't see me.
Hey, keeping cool. It's all about keeping cool. Yeah.
Things going good with you?
Going great. Excited.
Awesome.
So excited to have our guest today. I heard her on a podcast and I'm just dying to hear more. She's just amazing.
That's how we found our guest, and let's get right to it. Charlotte Bayala, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here with the two of you.
Oh, we are happy that you are here. Charlotte Bayala is the podcast and host of the Cancer Caregiver Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to check her podcast out, please do. And you don't need to take any notes because we know you're driving or working out and doing all kinds of stuff. So we will have all the links in our conversation in the show notes. So be sure to check that out. Charlotte, let's start off with where the heck are you dialing in from? And tell us something kind of unique and interesting about where you live.
I'm in Northwest Arkansas, so Roger, Bentonville area of Arkansas. And I'm fairly new here, so I feel like the different part about this part of the world is just how much of a Walmart world I'm living in right now.
Oh.
I got so many things to say to them, and I'm just going to stick to. We may want them as a corporate sponsor one day. I better just stop right there.
Is it warm there, Charlotte? Arkansas?
It is. It's in the 80s right now. So
okay.
Yeah. We're in, that's not even summer, so it'll get hotter.
Yeah, I know.
I do want to just, like I say, we'll have your bio in the show notes, but I do want you to let's talk about something really quick and recent. And congratulations, you've been shortlisted as a nominee to win in a major category for the International Women's Podcasting. And congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Thanks. It's exciting. Yeah.
So I want the humble Charlotte talking right now. So why do you feel you were shortlisted, and then you can go ahead and just share with us, why did you start a podcast?
Yeah. Why was I shortlisted? I don't know, because it's a freaking amazing podcast.
It was for humble. Okay, I love it.
I'm going to give you the opposite. No, seriously, like it's been a whole different type of mindset shift that I've had to have because, as being a solo podcaster, just having an indie show, being the only person that touches all parts of the show, to be, first of all, to have a friend that kind of nudged me to apply for the award, and then we do some things sometimes where people are like, you have to do this, you have to do it. And I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And then to see my name on the list of people of shows that were shortlisted, like completely didn't expect it. So I'm super excited.
Awesome.
And, being in a caregiver world, being a caregiver, having a podcast about caregiving, and being the only person that runs this podcast can feel extremely just isolating and lonely. So for an international podcast organization to notice it and say, yeah, it is good. Like, we want the world to know about it. That's been awesome. Yeah, it's been perfect.
Does it do you feel like it kind of validates what you're doing, or is it a spark? I mean, what does it mean to you, really?
Yes, it is validating for a group of people to say, we think that this is up there with 14 other shows that deserve to be in this category that really fit the bill for this year is extremely validating. At the same time, we all have those caregiving tendencies where we're like, no, we're the people behind the scenes, right? We're the ones that are the cheerleaders for other people. And so to be in this place where people are cheering me on and seeing and noticing the show a little bit more is incredible, because I've been podcasting for 5 years. So to get to this point, it's like, and it creates a lot of pressure too, more than usual, I've always known that my words can make a difference in someone's life, but it's sitting a little heavier right now.
Congratulations again. Congratulations.
Yes. 5 years. That's a long time. How do you go about creating content consistently that's so interesting and exciting? And how do you prioritize what to talk about?
It depends on the time of the year. I like to sit back and think about what if I were my caregiver self in the first year or two, what would be my issues at the moment, right? And so there are a lot of things that come up that are more important to talk about, let's say around the holidays or in the summers or, New Year's or Valentine's Day. Like, those are all times of the year that everyone goes through and doesn't recognize how that can kind of feel a lot lonelier for a caregiver. If you're a spousal caregiver and everything's about Valentine's Day, like, that hurts, even though you're sitting next to the person that you're caring for.
That's true.
A lot of it comes from the things that I know to be true through the experiences that I've had. And then to support what I know works through the training that I have through yoga and meditation and just the thousands and thousands of hours that I have experienced teaching and leading people in different modalities. I only offer on the show what I know works for other people and that has worked for myself in order to mitigate overwhelm and stress for caregivers in any moment. So it's a lot of me. Those episodes are a lot of me.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
That's what makes it so engaging, because you are straight up. You're telling it like it is. You're using curse words. I love it.
Yeah. I can't not. It's just hard for me to do.
My favorite episode so far, and I'm going to get this screwed up because two of them actually are my favorite, but one of them is The Secrets of Working Caregiver, which is amazing. And then the other one is a caregiver nobody told you you're a caregiver.
Yeah.
I don't know which one of the episodes you did this with, but I love the analogy. And with your permission, I'm starting to use it.
Yeah.
But I love the analogy of not telling somebody you're a working caregiver is like carrying an invisible 50-pound backpack. And your arms are loose, your hands are loose, and that's what people see. They don't see the backpack on you. How did the hell did you come up with that? And can you expand on that?
How did I come up with it? I write at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. So
you drink coffee?
I got company.
Coffee. No, I try to wait until after I've done at least an hour of being awake before having coffee. And maybe that's why those types of things come out of me, because I wake up with episodes in my head, and oftentimes I don't want to wake up and get out of bed, but my brain has already started writing the episode. So in order to capture it and not lose it, once I hit 8, the words disappear. So it's this weird kind of like flow that I have in the morning. It just came to me. I had just traveled. I was wearing a backpack. Like I did kind of think back at this backpack is really heavy. Like I hate carrying it, but also then I was, holding my water and my snacks to take on the plane. And then my husband handed me something else. And I was like, in my head, I was like, what the heck is happening? Like, can't you see? Like I'm carrying so much. Right. And so that came to me when I sat down to write. A lot of times things that have nothing to do with caregiving that have happened in my life come into when I write in the podcast. So I just feel like if we're intentional about being mindful of the moments that we all have stories that we can tell.
Please keep getting out of bed with those ideas because your content is extremely helpful on behalf of caregivers. Thank you for it.
So on average, working caregivers spend about 20 hours a week doing, caregiving duties in addition to the time that they spend doing their work, duties.
Yeah.
So where do they have time to care for themselves? What is your view on self-care?
Yeah. First, I don't like calling it self-care. I feel like self-care has been overused. And, if you say self-care right now, almost anybody that's listening is probably thinking about massages and vacations and spa appointments and yoga pants and, all the things that we don't need in order to care for ourselves. And I think that's the problem is we oftentimes feel like we don't have the time, that it's not available to us, that we don't deserve to do it, that it creates guilt. And that's not who we are. But the problem is that we're humans and we need to find the time to course correct especially when we're walking into or out of stressful moments. And so I consider it self-preservation because these are things that we have to do to make sure that we're not in the future the ones that also need caregiving for people to care for us. That's the problem, right? Everyone feels like they need a half hour, they need an hour, they need to leave to go somewhere, have a special place or a special setup. And when I work with people and talk to them, and even in the show, I'll say, you just need 5 minutes. So if you're, parking your car at work, park far away and take that extra 2-3 minutes to not be on your phone, to not be going through that list of things that you have to do. Put everything in your bag, in your pocket, and simply just walk. Just walk and breathe and take that moment, because it's small moments like that we need throughout the day in order to reset our nervous systems, because you are doing more than just going into work. You're like the backpack analogy, you're carrying all that in with you, and then you're putting more in there to weigh yourself down. So, doing what you can to take, when you do the coffee break or you're walking to lunch, like, please don't eat your lunch at your desk while you're working, especially if you're a caregiver. Like, go someplace, even if it's just 15 minutes, to sit without an electronic, to just actually taste your food. When you have coffee, just, sitting with it for a minute and smelling the coffee and actually tasting it. When we have those moments in those days where you're like, I just need coffee, and we go from the process of going to get the coffee, grab the coffee, put it to our mouths and leave, I don't think that most of us even remember what the coffee tastes like. It's just, we just got to get it done. Just taste the coffee. I mean, these are things that you're already doing. You don't have to add something new to your day.
Yeah. I loved how on one of your shows you actually stopped and did a breathing exercise. Can we take a minute and do that? Could you have us go through that?
Of course. I mean, do we want to do the whole 15 minutes?
No. Just 1 minute. Give us a flavor.
I'm always going to ask for more. All right. So it doesn't matter where anybody is, whether they're driving or they're walking, or they can be someplace where they can actually stop. No matter what you're doing, just make sure that you're safe. And I just want you to find your breath at the tip of your nose. And I just want you to notice the breath coming in and out through the tip of your nose. Just your normal breath. There's nothing special to do, no place for you to go. And as you continue breathing, I want you to slowly start to make that breath in a little bit deeper, which means you're going to have to release your belly. You're going to have to relax, let the shoulders stay low. Just let the breath come as far down deep into your lungs as you can. And then as you let that breath out, slowly let it out through your nose if you can, or your mouth if your nose isn't available. But as you let it out, let all of the air out before you bring that next breath in. Just following that breath at the tip of your nose. Deep breath in, slow breath out. 2 more deep breaths in, slow breath out. 1 more deep breath in, slow breath out. Before you move on to the rest of your day, I want you to just check in to see how you feel in this moment. Are your shoulders maybe a little bit lower? Is maybe your face a little bit more relaxed? And then you can move on.
Wow, I feel my heart better. I can feel my heart beating better during that.
I felt my shoulders kind of relax. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you. And I hope our listeners will not only participate, but also kind of play that back. I think that's great. And I like the word you use, self-preservation. I like that. And we all have different words for it, but self-care is it's overused, and it does sometimes have the wrong connotations. I like to use rest and recovery, but I get it. I love that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
In the work that you do, Charlotte, why do you have such a strong feeling that you have to speak up and have a voice for people in the caregiving role? Where is that coming from?
That's coming from me being the person that I felt I needed to have for myself when I was a caregiver, when I first became a caregiver. I think that I continue first because I didn't realize I had the option to stop. There's so much need, and there's so many people that are not enjoying their lives for so many different reasons. The one reason that I can help people with is because they're caregivers and they have that burden of that role that they didn't necessarily accept to have in the beginning. And so if I can help a group of people, I mean, we have are we over 5.2 million caregivers? Like, it's just going to keep increasing worldwide. You know, who knows what the number is? If there's one little thing in that huge world of people that need this, it's the least that I can do, right? To just share so that people can see themselves, to know that they're not alone, that the things that they're thinking, that they're going through are not just them, and that they do deserve to be able to find joy in their lives so that they can enjoy the people that they're caring for. If I can do that, even if it's just 15 minutes a week, then that's what I'm going to do.
That's awesome. Thank you so much on behalf of all the caregivers out there on their journey. And we all know that journeys are pre, during, and post. Can you just briefly tell us about your caregiver journey? And then what would you tell somebody starting theirs as far as advice?
Yeah, I've been a caregiver for my husband going on 13 years now. He has an incurable thyroid cancer that he will most likely be able to live with for the rest of his life. However, I think that anyone who's a caregiver for someone who has a chronic illness or a disability, you know, knowing that you're caregiving long term is a blessing, yes, but also I feel people don't necessarily understand that then that's long term you caregiving. And so when I first became a caregiver, you know, I fell into the deep end of that spiral that we all maybe go through in the beginning, where like everything fell away except for what needed to be done for my husband and my daughter, and to quote unquote keep it all together, right? Sacrificing everything that I did for myself, all of the self-care that I had, all of the prioritizing the things I needed to do. And there was one moment where worry became such a big problem that I felt like, you know, I felt like I was walking around with a screen of like a dog shelter commercial in front of me at all times. Like I could cry for nothing, for like missing a step. And so I reached out to my doctor, and she said to me, well, I think first, before we start, you should try meditation. And that completely angered me because I was a meditation teacher and a yoga teacher at the same time. And I immediately felt worried that people were going to find out that I'm teaching everyone how to do the things that I'm not doing for myself. Mm-hmm. And so I had the skills to help myself. I had the ability to find access to everything that I needed to do for my own self-preservation. And I couldn't see it because of how clouded my eyes were because of caregiving. So I would tell someone who has just become a caregiver, don't judge yourself for feeling like you failed because you were doing things for yourself and then you suddenly forgot how to do those things, because it happens to the best of us. But it's knowing that you deserve to take time for yourself, as difficult it is going to be. It really needs to somehow become imperative for you to figure out how to fit it into the new life that you have, and to actually understand that your life has now changed and that you have to make adjustments.
We had a guest not too long ago who said it really well also. And she said, change the G word from guilt to grace, and give yourself some grace, as we're going through the journey. Yeah. So I hear you. I just wondered, I remember in one of the podcasts that I heard you talking, you said how important it is to keep your sense of humor during the journey. Can you share with us maybe a little story or a brief incident where, is just memorable, or something that was really funny or encouraging for you in your journey?
Yeah. When it's caregiver related, a lot of the humor comes from just interactions that my husband and I have, because thankfully our sense of humor is complementary. We started out at a hospital system that in the cancer center, they decided that it would be best to fill the waiting room with old school photo albums of animals, like chickens and dogs and cats. And you would, so the first time we sat down, I was like, oh, why are all of these huge binder like things just sitting around? And I'm looking through them and I'm like, I don't get it. And I looked to my husband, I was like, what is this crap? And he was like, well, what do you mean? And I flipped through it and he was like, what are we looking at? And I said, I don't know, the menu. Like, I don't get. And so
was he a hunter, the doctor? What the heck?
I don't know. And then right after, like, we're looking through it, they call him up, and this is our first time, stepping up to like the nurse, the check-in station. Yeah. And everyone spoke slowly and carefully. And we walked away, and I looked at him and he looked at me, and we just bust out laughing, because we were like, I mean, this is just being diagnosed with cancer. This is checking in for our first oncology visit. Yeah. And we're like, what the heck is happening? Like, are we breaking? Like, what is going on? And we sat down and we were just dying laughing because of it. So sometimes when we see binders in oncology waiting rooms, we're like, oh, there it is. And I feel like having those moments with the people that you care for, like, it really helps create a bond. You're sharing a moment in something. Like, that was our first visit to an oncologist. It should not have created laughter, but to be open to laughing at something and enjoying a moment, even with, and not trying to escape from or pretend it's not happening, those moments that you're in the middle of, is important.
That's a wonderful story.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. You just made me think of days when I was a pharmaceutical rep. We'd go into doctors' offices and you would see the most bizarre things. I love the one who's, no offense to doctors out there who are skiers, but I love the one where there's all the pictures of him skiing everywhere. And it's an orthopedic doctor. And
I'm like, he's showing you where he gets all his money from.
I was like, all right, we paid for that Aspen trip. We paid for that Boulder trip. I can't tell you how much we just love you being here because of your podcast, and I wanted to make sure we shared it as a resource for employers, for employees. It's a great, valuable resource because you've got a nice, quick 15-minute narration that will be very helpful. But you do work with employers. And so can you just share a little bit about what work you do? And then also, if you don't mind, do you have a couple of suggestions for employers that might be listening in as to what they can do a better job of supporting caregivers?
Yeah. Well, first, better job at supporting caregivers. Do something in a month other than November. I
loved your show on Work Caregiver Day. Oh, you folks, you got to listen to that one.
I have an issue with only speaking to caregivers 1 month of the year. I get that it's good for an awareness and everyone's on top of it, but please do things for your caregivers other than November just because it's caregiver month. What I do with employers is I literally just work with them, their ERP groups or their groups that they have for specific people in their organization to help them figure out ways to create programming and support for their caregivers. And so for every organization, it's different. Sometimes it's me coming in to do a talk or a listening session. Other times it's creating wellness content that will, some people have Mindful Mondays and they'll have me create just very short meditations and they'll send it out through an email. And so it's things that people can sit down at the beginning of their day or after a meeting. There's so many different ways that you can use breathing and meditation throughout a work day. Or we get creative. A lot of people have started talking now about maybe collecting stories and having in-house mini podcasts to get the stories from the caregivers in their offices so that other people can understand more about what it's like to be a caregiver and be an employee. So
it's a great idea.
I love it when companies are open to having more than the standard webinar, right? Because I feel like putting in the time and the effort to do something different that people will actually pay attention to, especially the caregivers. Caregivers don't like being talked to. Like they like being seen and heard and their experiences validating. But there is a way where you can make it feel just kind of like, well, the company's doing this just because it checks a box. Like we don't want that feeling anymore. And so working with people like me and like the two of you, so that they understand a little bit better what is important for caregivers to hear and how can they approach with empathy instead of just so that it's fitting the bill.
Awesome. And how can people find out more about you?
Yeah, they can find me at cancercaregiverpodcast.com. And I'm everywhere online as Cancer Caregiver Podcast, except for on LinkedIn. I'm Charlotte Bayala.
Awesome. Congratulations on being recognized as on the short list.
Thank you.
You got my vote. I got a good feeling that those other 14 competitors better see what's coming.
We'll find out.
Wishing you well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to catch new episodes of Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employees Podcast, every other Tuesday. Please also visit our website, invisibleemployeeadvocates.com, to subscribe to our newsletter, purchase our book, and learn more about how we can help you strengthen your workplace to become more supportive of working caregivers.